You know how sometimes you find a bottle of wine and it's like, whoa, what is this? This isn't just like another Chardonnay.
It can be a really special experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So get ready because today we're doing a deep dive on ice wine.
I love ice wine.
It's pretty amazing, right? And we're looking at the Wikipedia article on it. And it's
Ah.
fascinating how they make this stuff. It's like they take grapes and just freeze them solid while they're still on the vine.
Yeah, it's wild. The process is amazing. It's all about the sugar content.
Oh, interesting. So tell me more about that.
Basically, when the water in the grapes freezes, the sugars don't. So they get super concentrated.
Ah, that makes sense.
And that's what gives ice wine its signature sweetness.
Huh.
But here's the thing, and this is what I think makes ice wine really special. It's not just sweet.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there are plenty of sweet wines out there.
Exactly. But with ice wine, the freezing process also preserves the grape's acidity,
Oh, wow.
and that creates this incredible balance of sweet and tart that you just don't find in other sweet wines. It's like this whole other dimension of flavor.
Okay, so that's starting to paint a picture for me. But the article also mentioned something about this whole process being kind of risky.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's all about the climate.
So you need the right conditions.
You need those perfect freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
And not just any freeze, it has to be consistent.
Wow, I bet that really limits where you can even make this stuff.
You're telling me. Canada's a big player, as you might imagine.
Yeah, with all that snow.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Exactly. But even within those ideal regions, there's still so much that can go wrong. The article mentioned something about harvesting conditions, too.
Oh, right, right. Because you can't exactly just pick these grapes whenever you want, can you?
Nope. You've got to wait for the grapes to freeze solid, but then you've got this tiny window to harvest them before they thaw.
And I'm guessing this is not your average run-of-the-mill grape picking operation.
Oh, definitely not. We're talking middle of the night, sub-zero temperatures kind of harvesting, sometimes even in the snow.
No kidding. Talk about dedication.
It's a labor of love, for sure.
Wow, that's incredible. When you think about all that goes into making this stuff, it's no wonder it's considered such a prized wine. And speaking of history, did you know this isn't exactly a new invention? Like, we're talking way back. Yeah. Roman times, way back.
Yeah.
Pliny the Elder even mentioned it.
Get out of here. I did not know that.
I know, right? Of course, back then, I doubt their methods were quite as refined.
I would imagine not. So how did we get from those early days to the ice wine we know and love today?
Well, the article said that modern ice wine production can be traced back to 18th century Germany.
Germany? Interesting. I always think of Canada when I hear ice wine.
I know, right? But apparently they've both got a pretty big claim to fame in the ice wine world.
Huh. You learn something new every day. So is it like a friendly rivalry between the two, or what?
That's a great question, and it turns out there are actually some pretty key differences in how they approach ice wine making. So Canada versus Germany, eh? What sets them apart in the ice wine game?
Climate's a biggie.
Climate? How so?
Well, think about it. Canada, super cold winters, right?
Right. They're grapes. They freeze more consistently.
Makes sense.
Higher sugar concentration.
Ah, so sweeter ice wine.
Generally, yeah.
What about Germany then?
Bit milder. They're winters.
So less sugar.
Tends to be, yeah.
Oh,
But more acidity.
interesting. So it's not just about being sweet.
Never is with ice wine.
Yeah.
That acidity, it's key, adds complexity. Like, imagine a perfectly ripe peach.
Juicy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet, juicy, but then that little tang.
Okay, I get it. It's more well-rounded.
Precisely.
So we've got Canada, Germany. What about within Canada? Any regional differences there? I know the article mentioned Okanagan and Niagara.
You're on top of it. Both great, but yeah, subtle differences. Okanagan, bit warmer, longer growing season.
Warmer. Interesting.
Yeah, so they're ice wines, often more of those ripe fruit flavors, peaches, apricots, that sort of thing. I can almost taste it. What about Niagara?
Cooler, touch more elegance, floral notes, citrus.
Elegant, I like that.
Mhm.
Now, grapes. We're going to talk grapes. Riesling, right? Vidal.
You got it. Huge impact on flavor. Riesling, think elegance, minerality, green apple sometimes, honey.
Fancy.
Right. Even a hint of, and this might sound weird, petrol.
Petrol. In a good way, I hope.
Oh, absolutely, in a good way. Adds complexity.
I'll take your word for it. What about Vidal?
Vidal, now that's your tropical fruit bomb. Mango, pineapple, fuller body.
Sounds amazing. Now, what was that red one again?
Cabernet Franc.
Right, Cabernet Franc. Red ice wine. Who knew?
It's a thing. Lighter in color, obviously, but still, those concentrated flavors come through. Red berries, mostly.
Wow, I'm learning so much. This is like a whole choose-your-own-adventure with ice wine.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, one more thing I remember from the article. Cryo extraction. What's that all about?
Ah, yes. Bit of a debate in the wine world, that one.
How so?
Well, traditional ice wine, right? It's all about those grapes freezing naturally on the vine.
Right. Mother Nature doing her thing.
Exactly. Cryoextraction, that's more like, we're going to give her a helping hand.
So you're artificially freezing the grapes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After they've been harvested.
Huh. Interesting. Does that change the flavor much?
Some people say so.
Yeah.
Some argue those naturally frozen grapes, they have more depth, more complexity.
Because they've been through it all.
Exactly. The elements, changes in temperature, cryoextraction, it's more
Okay.
controlled.
So you get a cleaner taste.
You could say that, yeah. More fruit forward.
So it's really down to personal preference then.
At the end of the day, yeah. Some swear by tradition, others, they like the innovation.
I can see both sides. Wow. Who knew there was so much to consider with ice wine? It's like more than just a drink. It's a whole experience.
Absolutely. Climate, grapes, how it's made, even the vineyard itself.
It's amazing. Like everything matters.
Everything plays a role. That's part of what makes it so special.
So for someone just dipping their toes into this world,
Yeah.
any advice? Where did they even begin?
I'd say be adventurous.
Adventurous, okay?
Don't be afraid to try different things. Start with what sounds good to you, whether it's a classic Canadian Vidal or maybe a German Riesling Eiswein.
Oh, that reminds me. You must have tried some amazing ice wines. Any favorites?
Oh, let me think. There was this incredible 2018 Inniskillen Vidal.
Inniskillen, their big name, right?
Pioneers, really. This particular one, perfect balance. Sweet and tart. Apricot. Honey. Touch of spice at the end.
Sounds divine. What else?
A few years back, a German Riesling Eiswein. Schloss Johannesburg, 2016.
Okay, that's going straight on my list.
You won't regret it. Aromas alone were incredible. Honeysuckle, citrus blossom, even that petrol thing we talked about.
Wow, I can only imagine.
And the taste. Liquid silk, honeyed peach, apricot, this long mineral finish.
You're making me thirsty.
And it's got me thinking.
Oh, about?
We've talked about all these factors, right?
Climate, grapes, the whole shebang.
Yeah, but what about terroir?
Terroir. Now there's a fancy wine word. Terroir. Now there's a fancy wine word.
It sounds pretty intimidating, doesn't it?
It does. Break it down for me.
Basically, it's everything about the natural environment where the grapes are grown.
Everything. Like what?
The soil, the climate, the lay of the land.
You're saying the actual dirt can change how the wine tastes?
Exactly. Different soils have different compositions, right? So they provide different nutrients to the vines.
And that affects the grapes.
Big time. The sugar development, the aromas, everything.
Wow, who knew dirt was so important?
It's all connected. Terroir, it's like the personality of a vineyard.
I like that. So what about, say, the age of the vines? Does that play into the terroir too?
Absolutely. Older vines, they usually have deeper root systems.
Which means?
They can reach further down into the soil, access more nutrients, even water that's deeper down.
So older vines, more flavorful grapes.
Often, yeah. More concentrated flavor.
Amazing. It's like every year the wine gets a little bit more interesting.
Right. Exactly. And don't even get me started on the angle of the vineyard.
Okay, now you're just messing with me.
No, seriously. Steeper slopes, usually they have better drainage,
Okay.
which can actually be a good thing.
How so?
It stresses the vines a little bit, makes them work harder to produce those grapes.
So it's like a workout for the vines.
Exactly. And that stress often results in smaller berries, but with way more concentrated flavors.
Oh, we're talking intense ice wine.
You got it. The perfect combination of natural factors.
This is incredible. I had no idea there was so much that went into a bottle of ice wine.
It's a whole journey, isn't it?
It really is. From the vineyard to the freezing process, all the way to our glass.
And that's what makes it so special. It's an experience.
Well said. This deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Learned a ton. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's to approach ice wine with a sense of adventure.
Adventure.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to explore, try different varieties, different regions. You might be surprised by what you discover.
I think I already have been. So for those listening, if you could create the ultimate ice wine experience, what would it be? What's your perfect combination of grape, region, terroir, everything?
That's a great question. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that.
Cheers to that. Until next time, happy sipping.